I think I have a very active imagination. Now, my thought patterns are very abstract, they are very nebulous and sporadic, they're very scattered. It's not like it's not very organized. Now, the thing is, when you're talking to people, when you're trying to communicate your message to other people, it's going to be more helpful if you can tell them in a more logical way. What I'm constantly trying to do is trying to connect what it is inside my head and trying to get them out there and trying to organize it in such a way that people can understand. And I think what it really means to be a creative person is that a creative person is open and accepting of their own inner voice, because as humans we all have thoughts, we all have ideas constantly going through our mind all the time. But sometimes a lot of people are rejecting of their own inner voice, they are rejecting their own ideas because they think it's stupid or it's not really logical or really out of this world or whatever it is. And I think what really distinguishes a creative person is that they don't reject their ideas, they don't fight their ideas, and instead they listen to their ideas no matter how stupid or ridiculous it may seem, and they act on their ideas. And the more we put our ideas into action, that action itself is going to inspire even more ideas to come. I think it's very important for all of us to let our thoughts take on another form, whether it's through talking or through writing. It doesn't matter if you want to find an audience for it, it's just you have to get it out in the first place, because words are the weakest when they're only sitting in our brain not doing anything at all. Words will get stronger if they are taking on another form, whether you write it or talk about it or just express it in some other way. For me personally, my favorite medium to express myself is through writing. I love writing on any form, especially poetry, because it really works well with the way that my brain works. Like I said, my thoughts are very nebulous and abstract, and they are scattered. They are not coherent whatsoever. And poetries are great because they are very short. The other thing I love about poetry is that because I also love analogies and metaphors and hiding meanings behind colorful language, I am quite fascinated by subtext. It's simply the art of saying something without actually saying that very thing. The beauty of poetry itself lies in the intricacy of the language, not in the clarity of the message itself. It doesn't mean that poetry doesn't have meaning. In fact, the meaning in poetry are so often very deep, and you can, if you choose the right words, that's like the best thing about poetry, finding the perfect set of words and trying to convey your message in a very concise and beautiful way. And I wrote so much poems in my days, especially last year. I think there was a particular month which I write at least one poetry every day. Sometimes I write 2 or 3 every day. And a couple of those poetry I turn into songs. But the thing about songs is that I'm not really talented in music. I really want the message of the song to really shine, and I can't really do it if I just half-assing it. And at this point in my life, I don't really have the necessary skill to perform and record and produce a song. That's also the thing about creativity, isn't it? Not only that you have to have the idea, but you also have to have the skill to manifest those ideas into something else, something tangible, something well, not really tangible, something different, something that you can communicate to other people. I started experimenting with writing in a longer form. Going back to the first point, I constantly have thoughts in my head, and I try my best to always pin down those thoughts into writing. I write them down in my notes, I write them down in my phone. I hardly ever write anything on my computer, though. I find it way less accessible to do so. I have hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of notes. But recently I wrote this kind of like inner monologue of myself. It's kind of like I'm writing a letter to this imaginary person, as I always do sometimes. So I wrote those, and suddenly it became like this 10-page long of monologues. At the time, I kind of think, oh, this might be something, but I don't know what it is because it's not really married to a story or a plot or anything at all. It's just thoughts. But what I was actually doing at the time was I was establishing the main character. I established their desires, their fears, their thought process, their reasoning for doing things, their motive behind things, and the things that move them, that the things that motivates them. And if I were to write a story, I really want to write a character driven story instead of a plot driven story, because a character different story is very moving. It's a lot more dynamic. It's not about the external conflict, it's more about the internal conflict. It's not really about what happens, it's not about the events, but it's about how those events shaped them, how it changed them, why does it matter to them. I want the plot itself to be more as a tool to tell the character's transformation. And instead of the characters being dragged down by the plot and being a punching bag and being this very passive object, I want them to be the one who drive the story forward. A couple days ago, I found the plot, and it was very fun writing the story, because the more I write it, the more the story reveals itself. It's kind of like a very natural unfolding experience. Like I said in the beginning, you really don't have to force anything. You just have to really listen to yourself and really let the ideas flow through you, and just be open to that. All of this discovering stage is the probably one of the most fun of the whole process. I don't know, I haven't been through the whole process, and I'm not really trying to inserting my own ego or agenda here. The only thing I'm doing is just really pay attention to what the story wants it to be. I started writing stories since I was very young, and one common theme that's always present in all of my stories is the emotional depth, weight, and darkness that it has. And I don't mean darkness as in it's a cult or a gothic vampire theme. It's nothing like that. It's a very grounded in reality, in day-to-day reality. But the character is always broken. I think the story that I'm currently writing is the culmination of all of those stories that I used to write as a kid. The main character is different every time, but they all almost like seem to be dealing with the same thing. It's about delusion and disillusionment, and it's about trauma and transformation, and it's about psychological pain. um, I don't know why I'm always inclined to write stuff about that. Maybe I myself have a psychological problem. And it's not going to be a fantasy novel about wizards and dragons. It's going to be about real people with real issues, psychological issues. Like I said, the whole point is not the plot. The plot itself is a tool. The whole point is the message. It's the characters struggle, the characters fight into becoming a better person regardless of all of the crap that she's going through, you know. I'm going to write this book really properly. I'm going to give myself 3 years to write this book. Hopefully it's going to be published in June 2023. That's my deadline for this book. 2023 is 4 years, Febby. It's not 3 years. Well, writing it takes 3 years, but maybe in the 4th year I can do a final revision and, you know, finding strategies to publish the book. If somehow you're watching this in June 2023 and the book is actually out there, so now you know this is how it all started. But if you're watching in June 2023 and the book is still not out there, please feel free to remind myself, to really call myself out. Hey, Febby, you said you're going to publish this book. What happened? Are you not going to finish it? I'm very excited. I'm very excited to write this book. So hopefully I'm going to finish it according to my timeline, and hopefully it's going to be the best work I could ever put on this book. This video, thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. I post video every Monday and Friday. Until next time, goodbye.